Hey y'all, FlameBreather616 here. Sorry if my voice sounds a bit weird. I just got punched in the face quite recently. Last time, I shared with you my predictions for week 2 of the 2024-2025 NFL season. And today, I'm going to do my week 4 predictions. It is currently Wednesday, September 25th, 2024. And tomorrow is the Thursday Night Football game that starts off week 4. This will be coming out after the game, so you will already know if my pick is right or wrong. But that's what can I do? I have a every other Saturday upload schedule, and I don't feel like breaking it. So, let's get into it. So, here were the results of my week 2 picks. I went 7 and 8. I got 7 correct and got 8 incorrect. Though this first one I'm not blaming myself on, because who would have guessed that the Saints would be this good? I got Bucks Lions wrong. I got the 49ers Vikings wrong. I got Chargers correct. Colts wrong. Jets right. Seahawks right. Jags wrong. Commanders right. Ravens wrong. Rams wrong. Chiefs right. Steelers right. Texans right. Eagles wrong. And I completely misjudged on the amount of points. So, time for week 4. Now, let's predict week 4. Starting off on Thursday Night Football, you've got my very own Dallas Cowboys, America's team, taking on a divisional rival. You've got the New York, or as they should be, the New Jersey Giants. The Cowboys. Oh, the Cowboys. Last week was not good for the Cowboys. Heading into the fourth quarter against the Ravens at 28 and 6 at home. Not really looking too good for them. But they started picking up ground. They scored a touchdown, got an successfully recovered an onside kick, which almost never happens. So kudos to them. But they weren't able to make the ends meet, and lost to the Ravens 28-25. The Giants picked up their first win against the Cleveland Browns. That isn't saying much because it's the Browns, who are probably the worst team in the league right now. So, who do I think will win this? I don't think I have to explain myself much. Cowboys, and I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be quite ugly. Next, you've got the New Orleans Saints taking on the Atlanta Falcons. The Saints, coming off of a very defensive-heavy game against the Eagles. There was barely any scoring. It was ugly. But they did lose to the Eagles 15-12, which sucked for my fantasy. Why did my quarterbacks always have to suck as soon as I put them on? But when they're on the bench, they play like a god. I'm talking to you, Derek Carr and Patrick Mahomes. But they might have a chance to keep their momentum. If they don't let this loss keep down their spirits, they have a good chance of being one of the best teams in the NFL. They are taking on the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons. Oh, the Falcons. They had the unfortunate situation of having to go up against NFL's golden child, the Chiefs. And it was actually closer of a game than you would think. They The Chiefs still ended up pulling up out of against a win of them 22-17. And to be honest, I didn't really watch that game that much, so I don't know how it happened. But I still think that the Saints are going to win this easy peasy lemon squeezy. Next up, you've got a divisional matchup with the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Green Bay Packers. The Vikings absolutely stomping the hell out of the Texans, or Strouds, depending on who you're watching. A complete, absolute massacre, 34-7. Sam Darnold, he is showing that his seasons on the Jets and the Panthers were not showing the true side of him, and that he still got plenty left in the tank. They are taking on the Green Bay Packers, who they had high hopes coming into the season. Then week 1, lost to the Eagles, and Jordan Love gets injured. Went from the highest highs to one of the lowest lows. Then Malik Willis said, actually, I think I'm going to continue the trend of the backups playing really good for absolutely no reason. The Packers got an absolutely dominant win over the Titans last week in a 30-14 success. But now, for this week, it's the question of, does Jordan Love start? Because he is still being questioned whether or not he will start. And honestly, is it a good idea for them to start Malik Willis and let Jordan Love take another week off to rest? And depending on whether or not Malik Willis or Jordan Love is playing, could decide the difference. But I will be going with the Vikings. I just think that Sam Darnold is playing out of his mind right now, and I think that as one of the 5, I'm pretty sure, undefeated teams, the Vikings are going to add another win to that streak. Next, you've got the 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the 1-2 Indianapolis Colts. The Steelers. Why are the Steelers so good? Well, I'll give you an answer to that. Tanking. For some reason, them sucking last season gave them a absolute cupcake schedule, and that is how they've ended up being undefeated. They won last week against the Chargers 20-10. I haven't really watched that game, so I've got nothing else to say about it, so let's go to their opponent, the Indianapolis Colts. They got their first win last week. The only problem with that is that it was against the Bears. So, doesn't really say much about the Colts' skills. Now, I don't have basically any information on either of these two teams, so I'm not going to discuss it any further, and I'm just going to go with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Next, you have got the Denver Broncos taking on the New York Jets. Well, if Bo Nix got injured, maybe we could call this the Zach Wilson return game, but for the sake of all the Broncos fans, pray that we don't have to see Zach Wilson play at the Jets again. The Broncos getting their first win last week in an absolutely massive upset against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a 26-7 win against them. Just wow, nobody saw that coming. Like, if you pick the Broncos to win there, you are one of two things, or maybe both. You are either a delusional Broncos fan, or you can see the future. Or maybe you're both. or maybe you're neither. It just picked randomly. But otherwise, nothing else to say about it. Taking on the New Jersey Jets, who last week got an absolute massacre win against the Patriots. Surprise, surprise! Aaron Rodgers survived more than four snaps on the turf. It's a miracle that his Achilles, or to be honest, any part of his leg stayed together that last game. So, who do I think will win? Don't know why I'm posing this as if it's an actual question. Jets. Next, you've got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Eagles faced the Saints last week. And as I said earlier, it was an absolute defense massacre. Barely any, not even 30 points total scored. But the Eagles were managed to eke out a 15-12 win against the Saints. The Bucks, as I said in the last one, got upset by losing to the Denver Broncos and only being able to score a single touchdown. And not looking too good for either of these teams. Well, it might be looking good for the Eagles, but as a Cowboys fan, I hope Jalen Hurts tears his Achilles and his ACL at the same time. No, I don't have a voodoo doll of him slashing out his Achilles. Who told you that? But, against my own judgment, I'm going with the Bucks. Screw what the percentage of people say. I think the Bucks can absolutely dominate. No, I'm not going insane. Why would you ask that? Next up, you've got the 0-3 Cincinnati Bengals taking on the 1-2 Carolina Panthers. The Bengals did something I didn't think anybody could do. Lost to the Commanders in a high-scoring game. Trust me, I'm as surprised as you are. And I don't think I'm completely in the wrong for saying the Bengals don't have much of a hope for this season. They are taking on the Carolina Panthers, who surprisingly got a win last week against the Vegas Raiders in a 36-22 win. So now, I have to decide whether or not that Joe Burrow can pick himself up and dust himself off and actually play good, or do I go with Andy Dalton and boldly assume that his performance wasn't just a fluke against a bad team, and that was actually showing that he's a contender? The fact that I have to pick between this is hurting me. But I do think that the Bengals can get a win on this. And hopefully, for the sake of all Bengals fans, Kitty can go meow. Next, you've got a divisional matchup with the 0-3 Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the 2-1 Houston Texans, or Strouds, as they are more well known by. The Jags. Oh no, the Jags. They got absolutely crushed into a pulp and was used for Josh Allen's post-game smoothie. They lost 47-10 against the 3-0 Buffalo Bills, and it's just not looking good for them at all. They are taking on the Houston Texans, the Strouds. Sorry, don't know what just came over me. So, the Strouds got curb stomped by the Sam Darnold-led Minnesota Vikings. The Strouds are not happy right now. And I feel bad for the Jags, because they're about to be on the receiving end of this. I don't think anybody's going to be surprised by me picking the Texans to win this. Next up, this is going to be interesting. It's the battle of the used to suck, but might be actually good now teams. You've got the Washington Commanders taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Wow. You'd think this was on Thursday Night Football, and it probably would have been on last year. But now, I might be crazy, but I say this matchup deserves to be a Sunday game. Not a Sunday Night Football game, absolutely not. But a Sunday game. The Commanders shocked the world last week in an absolutely high-scoring shootout against the Bengals in a 38-33 win, a total of 71 points. A far cry from the 7 points I predicted be scored in the game. That is not looking good for me. They are taking on the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals, while they did lose last week, aren't looking too bad. Maybe they could have a chance this year. Or maybe this is just a fluke. But I'm not going to be looking down on the Cardinals, because they are contending right now. Don't think I'd say that. While they did lose to the Lions last week, and it was a close game, 20-13, only a one-score game. But now, who do I think will win this? It is a hard decision, but I will be going with the Cardinals. Oh, who am I kidding? I would never pick the Commanders to win. I'm a Cowboys fan, remember? So yeah, Commanders, go get roasted on the spit like your pig mascot. Birds gonna fly. Oh god, that was morbid. Next up, you've got the 1-2 New England Patriots taking on the also 1-2 San Francisco 49ers. The Patriots. Oh, the Patriots. They got stomped. There's nothing else I can say. They only scored 3 points. It was a very ugly game. And yeah, they did not look good at all. They are taking on the 49ers, who, in upsetting fashion, lost to the Puka Nacua-less LA Rams. But can you blame them? Because as I said earlier in this video, Deebo Samuel, out. Christian McCaffrey, out. George Kittle, out. Jeez. Give them a break. So, now, it would seem pretty easy to choose. Who am I kidding? It's 49ers. I think that they should be healthy. By they, I mean Deebo, Christian, and George. Don't know why I said their first names. Man, that sounded like a sitcom cast. Anyway, I think that, healthy or not, they still should get that win. So, I'm going with the 49ers. Next, oh god, you've got the Cleveland Browns taking on the Vegas Raiders. Oh god. The Browns did something that I don't think anybody thought was possible. They lost to the New Jersey Giants. While, granted, it was only a one-score difference, that still isn't an argument that you should be winning. It doesn't matter what happens. You shouldn't be losing to the Giants. You're the reason that they are tied with the Cowboys right now. And I will not forgive you, Browns. Sorry for my tangent. They are facing the Raiders, who happen to have a similar situation, somehow losing to the Carolina Panthers in a 36-22 loss. I don't know how this happened, but I think this week, this matchup in particular, is the battle to see which team can suck more. Or, let me word that differently. It's the battle to see who is the worst team in the NFL. That's better wording. So now, who do I go with? Raiders. It's not much thinking. Actually, it is kind of thinking, but I don't think this is going to be a very good game. Next up, accidentally spoiled this one. You've got the Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chiefs actually had a quite close game against the Falcons, which I don't know how it was this close, but I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to accept that they won and move on from it. The Chargers, they lost to the Steelers 20-10. Not much else to say. So, I'm going to go with the Chiefs, as I accidentally spoiled. But there is one way the Chargers can win. It's if you... Let's imagine this as a game of Uno. The Chiefs just got played a card. The Chargers played a card against the Chiefs. Stop committing crimes or draw 20. Let's just say the only way for the Chargers to win is if the Chiefs gain 20 more cards, if you know what I mean. Next, on Sunday Night Football, you've got the undefeated Buffalo Bills taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The Bills, last week, absolutely smoked the crap out of the Jags, 47-10. As I said before, Jags put in a smoothie after game meal for Josh Allen. Yummy Jaguar meat. Do people eat Jaguars? I'm getting sidetracked. Anyways, they are taking on the Baltimore Ravens, who they beat the Cowboys, but there is something I get to gloat over them. It's that they were dominant for most of the game. I will give them that. Derrick Henry went off. They were running through the Cowboys defense like they were Swiss cheese. It pains me to say that as a Cowboys fan, but it's the truth. And they went into the fourth quarter pretty optimistic because they were leading 28-6. Which doesn't make sense when you look at the final score and see that it was 28-25. They still got the win, but it was a bit closer than I imagined they wanted it. So, do I go with the Buffalo Bills or the Baltimore Ravens? I'm going to go with the Bills because I want them to absolutely curb stomp the Ravens because I think the Ravens should die in a pit of fire. Is that too harsh for them? No. Next, you've got the 0-3 Tennessee Titans taking on the 1-2 Miami Dolphins. The Titans gonna do what Titans gonna do. They lost to the Malik Willis-led Packers. That basically speaks for itself. Taking on the Miami Dolphins. And Dolphins, I'm so sorry. Because into the season, going in at the beginning, the Dolphins had hopes. But now, the only thing that they have is Tua with a concussion. So now their starting quarterbacks is either Skylar Thompson. Oh boy, don't Dolphins fans love that name? And Tim Boyle. Ugh. This game is not going to be fun. The Dolphins last week lost to the Seahawks 3-24. Not a good game. Which makes sense when you learn that their quarterbacks were Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle. So, now I have to decide which of the two evils I have to pick to win. I think the Dolphins still will win over the Titans, but I don't think it's going to be a good game. Finally, on the second Monday Night Football game, don't know why there's two weeks in a row, but hey, I ain't gonna complain. You've got the 3 undefeated Seattle Seahawks taking on the 2-1 Detroit Lions. The Seahawks crushed the crap out of the Dolphins, led by their running back Zach Charbonnet. Which, what? Who are you? And why are you so damn good? 40 attempts for 141 yards and 3 touchdowns. Holy crap. Wow. Just wow. Taken on, sorry, lost track of thought right there. They are taking on the Detroit Lions. Oh, Detroit. There are a lot of things I could say about you. But I don't want to say them to not hurt your feelings. The Lions beat the Cardinals, which is a statement that sounds like it makes sense. But trust me, the next sentence drops that sense and makes the sky rain pennies with the amount of sense that gets dropped. When you hear the fact that it was only a one score difference, it only beat them 20-13. But at the same time, the Cardinals are starting to look better, so should I hold it against the Lions for it being that close? Maybe not. But now, I think I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks on this. I'm going to go against the spread. Because I think that Zach Charbonnet, that it isn't just a one-time fluke, and that he can continue putting on the pressure. So yeah, Seahawks going to win. And as a bonus, I think that it's going to be a very high-scoring game. So I'm going to say a total of 51 points. So, let's recap. I have the Cowboys beating the Giants, the Saints beating the Falcons, the Rams beating the Bears, the Vikings beating the Packers, the Steelers beating the Colts, the Jets beating the Broncos, the Bucks beating the Eagles, the Bengals beating the Panthers, the Texans beating the Jags, the Cardinals beating the Commanders, the 49ers beating the Patriots, the Vegas Raiders beating the Browns, the Chiefs beating the Chargers, the Bills beating the Ravens, the Dolphins beating the Titans, and the Seahawks beating the Lions, with a total points in that game being 51. So, before I leave, I would like to give credit where credit is due. This video and its Week 2 predecessor is heavily inspired by Tom Grossi's videos of the same nature. I am a big fan of his, and am in his group on ESPN Pick'em. The Grossi Posse 1, I think it's called. So go check it out if you play Pick'em. It's a great group. And if you don't know Tom Grossi, or you aren't already subscribed to him, go subscribe to him. He's an amazing YouTuber and just an overall great guy. So again, not all credit, a lot of credit, most credit for this video goes to Tom Grossi. So that is all. This has been Flame Breather 616, and this week, take a part of your inner flame and share it with someone you love. Because the fire can be dangerous and destructive and chaotic, but can also be warm, gentle, and comforting. And this week, I know a lot of people will need some comforting and some warmth. So share it with them. See you guys in 2 weeks.